staying with Germany, the country with the second largest gold reserves in the world, but not all of the country's reserves are actually stored within Germany's borders. Now, some experts are calling for the government to bring all the gold back home. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now on the story. Lars, how much gold are we talking about here and where is it?
Thanks for having me. Well, the numbers are truly staggering here. Germany holds 3,361 tons in gold reserves. They're worth around 300 billion euros. And only half of that is actually stored in Frankfurt with the Bundesbank. That's about 1,700 tons. Another 400 tons are with the Bank of England in London. And finally, there are just over 1,200 tons with the Federal Reserve in New York. And that is where things have gotten dicey, because the Fed, as trustworthy and independent as this venerable institution has been for hundreds of years, it's come under scrutiny ever since US President Trump has tried to gain influence over its policies. And we've just seen it again just over the past 2 weeks when Trump threatened to fire Fed Chief Jerome Powell. Then, of course, he stepped away from that threat again, but it was enough to make some people doubt that the gold is truly safe in the US. And then there's, of course, that other anecdote where Donald Trump recently said that he himself, as well as Elon Musk, would take a trip to Fort Knox to check if all the gold is really there. Now, that might have been a joke, but it's a weird one. There is no reasonable doubt that the gold is there. Germany's reserves, however, are, as I said, not in Fort Knox, but with the Fed in New York. But joking like that just doesn't make anyone trust you more, especially since Trump's presidency so far has already led to people and nations losing trust in the US as a whole.
So will Germany is, wanting to move its gold from New York to Frankfurt then?
That is highly unlikely, and for a number of reasons. First of all, the Bundesbank, that is the federal bank and officially the holder of these reserves, they're saying that indeed they fully trust the Fed and don't see a reason to move the gold. Also, doing so wouldn't be easy. Over the past 20 years, Germany did actually move some of its gold around, taking all that was stored in Paris, for example, and they brought that back to Frankfurt. And also 675 tons were relocated from New York, but that was really complicated at the time. It took top secret shipments. Some of the gold had to be melted down and reworked into new bars. All of that cost 7 million euros just in operative costs. But mostly, one has to keep in mind why so much of Germany's gold was ever brought to the US in the first place. And that is because New York, much like London, is an important trading place for gold. And since gold is essentially insurance for the country and should be there to be sold in an emergency, it's obviously a good idea to keep it where it can easily be sold, and that is London and New York.
Okay, thank you very much, Lars Holter, joining us from DW Berlin.